Top 10 Greatest Wrestlers of All Time. Number 10. Sting. Career. Sting's long and winding career path has made him a multiple-time world champion in WCW and a big-time player in NWO, where he is the current champion. He has never wrestled for the WWE, but the buzz that was caused by his rumored dream match with The Undertaker at WrestleMania shows the high esteem he is held in by the wrestling world. Score 9-10. Look. Before he became the Scorpion, Sting's gimmicks were hit and miss, but his dark face-painted look has given him a mystique almost on a par with the Phenom. Score 8-10. In ring, Sting's career has spanned almost 3 decades, and no one has ever had a bad word to say about his in-ring talents, and his matches with WCW were some of the best the company had to offer in the main event. Score 8-10. Mic skills. Sting's eerie promos have always interested fans, but his mic work in recently has left something to be desired. Score 7-10. Marketability. Sting was the main rival for the NWO and Hulk Hogan at the height of WCW's success, and had a key role to play in one of the most successful angles of all time. Now still have faith in him as the savior of their struggling product. Score 8-10. Total score 40-50. Number 9. Bret the Hitman Hart. Career. The Hitman was a 5-time WWF champion, and he was the biggest star in the company for most of the 1990s. Although he never drew the same money as Hogan, he did help preserve the WWF after the steroid scandal, and he contributed to the wholesome image McMahon was trying to create. Score 8-10. Look. Bret was never physically daunting, but the trademark sunglasses and the pink and black attire added to the Hitman character. Score 7-10. In ring, Bret Hart was the best worker in the business for years and is a constant feature when people list the greatest matches of all time. The highlights of his in-ring work include his Iron Man match with Shawn, his many matches with Curt Hennig and Randy Savage, his cage match with Owen, and main event of SummerSlam, where he carried the British Bulldog to one of the best matches in history. Score 10-10. Mic skills. Bret's weakness was always on the mic, and although he worked hard to improve, he never came across as a natural. Score 7-10. Marketability. Hart was immensely popular with his home fans in Canada, but also around the world, as evidenced by the hero worship he received on the WWF's European tours. His sunglasses and his merchandise sold well, and at one point, he received more fan mail than even Hogan. Score 8-10. Total score 40-50. Number 8. Shawn Michaels. Career. From revolutionizing the tag team division with the Rockers to revolutionizing the wrestling business with Generation X, Shawn Michaels has done it all. He is a multiple-time world champion, but it was during his second run with the company that he really cemented himself as one of the greats. Even in his 40s, he could have a great match with a broomstick, and he will go down as the greatest worker of all time. Score 10-10. Look. The fact that he was considered too scrawny to ever be a main event player may have been a factor in why he was one of the lowest drawing champions in WWE history. The fans simply did not believe in him as the top wrestler in the company. Score 6-10. In ring, he is the showstopper, and the 5-star matches that he had are too many to list. The fact that his last 2 matches with The Undertaker can stand up with the best matches of all time are a tribute to Shawn's workmanship even when he was physically past his prime. Score 10-10. Mic skills. Particularly later in his career, HBK cut some memorable promos, and it was always evident that he had charisma and a natural ability to run his mouth. Score 8-10. Marketability. Vince was never able to sell Shawn as the champion, and it was only after he returned from his back injury that he became so respected and admired. Score 6-10. Total score 40-50. Number 7. Rowdy Roddy Piper. Career. Piper's never won the WWF title, but he was the top heel in the company at one stage, and he had a great run as the babyface Intercontinental Champion. 8-10. Look, Piper looked nothing special on the outside, but it was the inner drive and natural passion that made him a star. 7-10. In ring, Roddy Piper is considered one of the few men that were exceptional on the mic, but were also extremely talented in the ring. 8-10. Mic skills. Piper's many classic promos, delivered in his familiar rasping tones, epitomize the reasons why he was given his own talk show segment and cement the fact that the Hot Rod will go down as one of the all-time greats. 10-10. Marketability. Piper famously said that the only reason the fans loved the Hulkster so much was because they hated him so much. The top babyfaces have always needed the great heels, and Piper was so over that his feuds with Hogan drew top money. 8-10. Total, 41-50. Number 6. The Rock. Career. The brevity of The Rock's career hinders him in this department as, while he was undoubtedly a big star, he was only a full-time wrestler for 7 years, and he struggled to get over in the early stages of his development as Rocky Maivia. 7-10. Look, the Brahma Bull was already well-muscled and looked ready for action. He had the look of a champion and the look of a star. 8-10. In ring, The Rock was a third-generation superstar, and his wrestling training proved effective as The Rock was always able to tear the house down. 8-10. Mic skills. The most electrifying man in sports entertainment lit up the wrestling world with his many catchphrases, awesome charisma and quick wit. Arguably the greatest talker of all time. 10-10. Marketability. The reaction on his return in 2011 was explosive, and it is a testament to just how much this man is loved. People will always pay to see The Rock, which is why he is being trusted in the main event of WrestleMania 28 despite not having wrestled for years. 9-10. Total, 42-50. Number 5. Randy Macho Man Savage. Career. Savage was one of the few main eventers in the 1980s that combined charisma and personality with an intense in-ring style that produced many a 5-star match. He was a long-reigning WWF champion and was voted by the WWE the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. 8-10. Look, his colorful ring attire combined with his familiar rasping tones, his "oh yeah" catchphrase and flamboyant nature made him a memorable performer who was immeasurably popular with the fans. 8-10. In ring, Savage helped to steal the show at WrestleMania 3 with a match that featured 19 two-counts and perfect storytelling. The main event had a hard time following this display of athleticism and drama, and it was the Macho Man at his best. 8-10. Mic skills. Every Savage promo was memorable, and every Savage promo meant something to the feud he was involved in at the time. Randy has been described as The Rock before The Rock. 9-10. Marketability. Savage's legendary feuds with Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair and Jake the Snake Roberts will also never be forgotten by true wrestling fans. But by far the most memorable of these was with the only star that could boast higher popularity than Savage, Hulk Hogan. He became a pop culture icon and a huge main event draw. 9-10. Total, 42-50. Number 4. Ric Flair. Career. Ric Flair was the man in professional wrestling with 16 world championship reigns and over 40 years of television exposure. Flair has been a main event draw with whichever company he has worked for. 10-10. Look, Flair blonde hair and naturally arrogant look only helped the success of the Nature Boy. Character that was the rich and arrogant superstar that lived the high life and rubbed it in the faces of those less fortunate. 8-10. In ring, according to Bret Hart, Flair was an outstanding technician, but his matches had no psychology and he could not tell a story in the ring. There are still many classic Flair matches, including his retirement match with HBK and his matches with Steamboat, Funk and Harley Race. 8. 10. Mic skills. No man did more to heighten the importance of the microphone than Ric Flair, and he was a natural at delivering world-class promos. 10. 10. Marketability. Flair was never a pop culture icon in the same way as Hogan or Savage, and he was never able to earn the top spot with the WWF or the WCW at the height of their success, because he was not well known to the casual wrestling fan. 710. Total, 43-50. Number 3. Hulk Hogan. Career. Hulkamania was a real presence in the 1980s, as millions of children bought into the real-life superhero-like persona of the Hulkster. He has drawn more money than anyone in the wrestling business, and he is the biggest star this industry will ever know. 10. 10. Look, his tanned 300-pound frame, his long golden hair and his huge arms made him into the perfect superhero for the fans and the ideal champion for McMahon. 10. 10. In ring, Hogan was let down by his limited in-ring skills, and the champion was carried by most of the heels he worked with over the years. 5. 10. Mic skills. Hogan's promos were never well thought out, but when he told the kids to say their prayers, do their training and eat their vitamins, he was fulfilling his role as a role model. Hogan's charisma was off the charts, and when he spoke, everyone listened. 8. 10. Marketability. He was the ideal face for the newly branded rock and wrestling era that the WWF was broadcasting, and he was also the ideal face for the fans to cheer. He was perfect at portraying the all-American hero that would do battle with the foreign villains such as the Iron Sheik or the anti-patriotic Sergeant Slaughter. 10. 10. Total, 43-50. Number 2.
The Undertaker. Career. The Undertaker is the longest-serving wrestler currently with the WWE, and he has been one of the top drawing talent for 2 decades. He is perhaps the only person that can claim to have been a star in the early 90s, a star in the Attitude Era and a star in the PG Era. 10/10. Look, the Dead Man character is one of the most successful of all time, and Mark Calloway's imposing presence and dark features are perfect for the role. 10/10. In ring, The Undertaker is one of the quickest and most athletic big men of all time, and his matches with Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart were works of art. 8/10. Mic skills. The Undertaker has never really been a speaking character, and The Undertaker has never really had a chance to shine on the microphone. 6/10. Marketability. The fan reaction when the gong hits is still unrivaled, and Taker always has been and will remain a huge attraction. 10/10. Total, 44/50. Number 1. Stone Cold Steve Austin. Career. Stone Cold Steve Austin is arguably the most popular wrestler ever to lace up a pair of boots, and his status as a first ballot Hall of Famer is justified by his many world title reigns and his role in the eventual victory of the WWF in the Monday Night Wars. 10/10. Look, Steve Austin was perfect in the role of Stone Cold the beer-swilling redneck, because that was his own character turned up to 11. He had a tough look, and you believed him when he described himself as the toughest sob. 8/10. In ring, Austin's hard-hitting style and intense but believable work in ring work made for some great matches against Bret Hart and The Rock, to name just 2. 8/10. Mic skills. There were 2 separate promos that transformed the career of Steve Austin from Ted DiBiase's lackey to the most popular wrestler of all time. His promo in ECW after being fired by WCW put him on the pro wrestling map. The second and perhaps more famous of the 2 promos was where Austin coined one of the most successful catchphrases in wrestling history in terms of merchandise sales. Austin 3:16 was a catalyst in elevating him to main event status and eventually superstardom. He would excel on the mic for the rest of his career. 9/10. Marketability. the only man that ever rivaled Hulk Hogan in terms of mainstream popularity. Steve Austin was the face of the Attitude Era and drew the highest pay-per-view buy rates and television ratings in wrestling history. 10/10. Total, 45/50.